Okay, ready? Okay. Welcome to Talk of the Tavern. I'm Travis Sivart, and this is Andrea. Is that all?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Do you want your little friend? And we're going to talk about why Talk of the Tavern. For us, for you. We'll be right back.
Talk the Tavern. Here you're always welcome.
Welcome back. As I said, we're going to talk about why Talk of the Tavern for us and you. For us, why it came into existence. Like, why did you decide to hang out with us here every week? Look at me or include her and make her talk.
I tried it. I liked it. You let me keep going on there.
It's like sex or drugs or something here. But better.
It is.
Now, I myself, I've always been the inquisitive kind that asks questions that some people would think are inappropriate, but because of the way I ask them, people respond to them because it's genuine curiosity. And I've had this habit, this form of asking questions since I was just a wee lad. A lad, wee. It's a wee lad.
No. Lucky Charms.
You look like the piss boy. So anyhow,
That's inappropriate.
I'm giving you all these openings to ask questions or create the next step in the conversation. Really, you couldn't grab piss boy and run?
You don't like when I run.
Not with the piss boy.
Okay. Talk of the Tavern. I know why I'm there and why I started it. Why did you start it?
Like I said, being genuinely curious, years ago, it was back in 2007, so over a decade ago, I wanted to start a weekly podcast that focused on my interests, which are not manly man interests, but they're not very specific. I enjoyed cigars and different alcohols and wasn't a big James Bond fan, but I loved superhero movies. And there was no niche for that. Nobody was doing that then. So I wanted to create kind of a gentleman's conversation instead of a manly man's conversation because I didn't give a damn about sports either. So I created this thing that I can enjoy, and the concept being, if I brought people on as guests, I could bring on people and speak candidly and ask the questions that most people are afraid of. Like if I brought a cop on, ask him the questions that you would ask a friend, the stuff we don't get to know. What was?
So you don't get... Most people don't ask because...
Right. Well, like when we did the Talk of the Tavern Goes to Prison back in the beginning of January, I learned so much. What's that?
I was going to say, was it always Talk of the Tavern?
In the beginning, it was Talk of the Tavern. Now, later, when we came to be on the internet, in other words, an actual live broadcast of a radio show online, which people still call podcast, drives me nuts. Even though we're video streaming now, we're still a podcast. It's killing me, people!
Don't kill him, people.
Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Anyhow, I was approached with people having an interest in doing the steampunk topic every week. And I went, okay, let's start with that. And I came up with Sounds of Steam, which was actually a social group in one of the Steampunk Empire Symposium website. I think it was just called Steampunk Empire.
What was that? Did you start with co-host or was it by yourself?
No, always co-host. I always wanted somebody to work with and bounce off of. Even in the initial 2007 podcast, I tried to bring in a buddy. Once I
was going to say, is it important to have a co-host to you?
For me, it's so important. I am not... It's not my thing to be the center of attention.
What?
No, I know. For this show, I had to be, though. It's because I'm the driving force. I wanted to make something that I wanted to watch, but didn't exist. So, yeah, initially I went through a list of a dozen different people as possible co-hosts, including multiple co-hosts, kind of like a morning show, blended with, at that time, Jay Leno had taken over for Johnny Carson. I'm like 20 years behind. Look, I'm using the other hand. You can't see it
Yeah.
though.
So your past co-host, how's that changed or progressed? And
I originally wanted two. I got one. Working with one was fun. Working with two is a little better because sometimes, some nights, some people just aren't chit chatty, so they do the
like
back.
me,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Well,
a
actually,
co-host.
yeah, she's a co-host as well as Ed Summers, and those are our two quiet ones. Now, when they speak, they're great, but they don't just babble on like I do or Kevin Crew. And now we've recently added Elizabeth. Oh, I'm not even the pickle lady. That's the last name. The pickle lady. It's Polish.
It is.
It is. But yeah, I wanted to bring people on to interview, or if I can't get somebody to interview, somebody with me to have a discussion on any given topic. And go look into the dark corners that most interviewers won't.
Such as? What's examples to draw people in to watch this show every Monday?
That's a good question. I want to bring on a little person, a midget, and discuss, is it offensive to use the word midget? What's life like when you're in public? Just like with Ed, who, if you haven't watched the show, he's a black guy, and I've asked him up front, how often, on a weekly basis, how many times a week do you deal with what you consider as racist behavior or racism or anything like that? I want to do the same thing with others. I want to have strippers on the show and hear their interesting stories that they tell their friends but don't necessarily let their customers know.
There was a burlesque show.
We did do a burlesque show. See, and this is the mix between when you have one guest on, you can ask those questions, and if they're comfortable with you, they answer. Mm-hmm. If you have more than one on, now you have people sometimes putting on that performer hat and ramping it up to compete with the other people on the show. So it's a balance, making sure you get the right guest or guests on at the same time.
At the right time,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a Kickstarter.
Yes. Now,
how can this boost? What's the purpose?
This video, which I'm putting on YouTube and then we'll put over on the Kickstarter also, is specifically for the Kickstarter. It's why I wanted to do it. Now, the topic we're talking about, and you've seen the video, is already almost 8 minutes long. I know, it flies. I'm passionate about the topic, and that's why does this show exist and what do we want to do with it? That's where the Kickstarter comes in. The Kickstarter, at minimum, with the minimum goal, we get to improve our broadcast signal. And that allows us to do a little more, broadcast in more places simultaneously. For example, I normally broadcast to 3 different radio streams, record it onto my desktop, and then the video stream. This will bring us a step closer to getting back to that we've had to pull away from because of circumstance. The stretch goals, though, take us further. First stretch goal is better booster. Second stretch goal is better equipment for the different co-hosts to bring their level of tech up to what I use on my system. In other words,
so we're like more professional.
Yeah, cleaner sound, better video, easier to use tools. And this way, if any of them have to run the software, because I'm at a convention and I can do Skype, but I can't do the software because of the Wi-Fi connection, any one of them can do it. Couple clicks, easy.
So what do you expect down the road? 5 years, 10 years?
Well, that all depends on the rest of the Kickstarter stretch goals.
Okay.
After improving their equipment comes the mobile studio, which allows me to broadcast from anywhere. Mm-hmm. A bar, a library, conventions, wherever we want to go. The last and final one that we have, actually, there's one more after that's just awesome, but it's only improving the show in that we're all going to be together for it. The fourth level is the mobile PA system. So the traveling speakers and whatnot. So when I show up at a convention and they're like, what equipment do you need? And 20 minutes when we're ready to set up, they're not there with the equipment I need. I have my own equipment, never have to rely on them and let down an audience, whether the audience is online or sitting in front of me. And we have done multiple shows at conventions with well over 100 people.
Yes.
Easily.
And when it's done at conventions, it promotes the local artist, upcoming artists. That's what That's what I get from Talk of the Tavern. I learn new music, new creators.
Absolutely.
So it benefits the community.
That's another great big thing. I always wanted Talk of the Tavern. As much as I am personally an introvert and a wallflower, I love promoting and helping other people. And we have brought world famous movie makers and international best-selling authors on the show. But more than that, I've brought on that guy.
You know that guy.
Yeah. It could have been your buddy or somebody you saw on stage or somebody's booth you walked by that makes something really interesting. And I have boosted all these people because that's what I love to do, to help others. And that's Talk of the Tavern is basically a social connection to join myself and my guest to the world and help the world be entertained and this person achieve a dream, which usually causes interaction. Now you asked me future. What do I see? Here's the heavy, guys. I love this idea. What I really want for Talk of the Tavern, I want to turn around in the future and compete with things like David Letterman's show, The Tonight Show, James Corden, The Daily Show. This is what I want. But I want it in such a relaxed atmosphere where we all can sit down in front of our computers, have a drink, etc. I can smoke a cigar or a pipe. You guys can interact at home. You are my constant audience. I want the ultimate live talk show that everybody can be in the audience. We can have thousands of people and we can answer you on air immediately. This is what I want. I want the best talk show there is out there. And I want 3 hours with one guest and my co-hosts, because this allows us to get more than, oh, what's your latest movie? How's your wife? Thank you for coming. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Next!
What is your interview style for the show?
My interview style is conversational. I can do questions, and I ask questions, don't get me wrong. But it's not the, I'm going to fire a question, you give me a concise answer, we move to the next question. I want to be able to go off on tangents. I want to get to know that person a little bit. So though a question might be the primer, it's the conversation that comes after the question that's the meat and the potatoes that you just walk away.
It helps you learn more about someone without being too pushy.
If I could get really any of the Seths on here.
There's
Seth Rogen, Seth Green, and Seth MacFarlane. I just want to do We're Seth show and get those three guys on together.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be, call them. Call me. And, just, we're going to get more out of them over 3 hours than we will. And then we also break away into our segments, which allows them to relax and not feel, and they're now obviously secondary to the topic. And I want that so they can relax. And they don't have to be in the spotlight. It lets them be themselves more. I think that's pretty much...
I have notes.
We got everything?
I believe so.
I think I prattled on enough. 15-minute video is enough. The bottom... What?
I want to say all the people that have supported us so far, in less than 24 hours, we're almost 50% of our goal. You rock.
That's right. And I'm going to check this real quick.
I'm very excited.
Let's see. Discard changes. Come over here to... I'm pulling up the project right now.
Yeah.
I'm going the long way, apparently.
The first few hours, we reached 35%.
Right. And then...
So people like us. They really like us. They like you. They like the show.
It's us. It's us. The show wouldn't be the same without that audience and without those co-hosts. You, all of you, make the show. Doing the show by myself, I wouldn't want to be there all the time.
We have our own little jobs that we do.
I do want to say, as we're closing here, YouTube is part of it. So we have the live video stream on Twitch. YouTube has smaller intermediate videos as well as rebroadcast of the other stuff. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it all gives you little bits and pieces. It's your community. We support you. We need you to help us. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. We're working towards a larger goal on that also, which I couldn't make part of the Kickstarter because it's getting 1,000 subscribers. Help me with that. Help support the show. Help support your community. Help us help you. Show us the money. Is it wrong to say that at the very end of the video?
No.
Okay, good.